Hello guys and gals, what's Palmatives here, and this is going to be part 7 of What If Deku was experimented on. And so, in the last part, Deku and Eri were able to get into a city. Now, Eri went to the city to see what exactly the state of everything is. How are the heroes reacting to the facility which they just attacked, the public and all that. And well, as Eri is leaving the city, she is followed by Aizawa. That's when Aizawa sees Eri speaking to Deku, and after that he calls in for reinforcements, with All Might, Mirako and Endeavor tagging along. And now, Endeavor absolutely pisses off Deku by trying to kill Eri, and that's when simply, All Might comes in and then knocks out Endeavor. And well, that's essentially when Deku calms down a bit and he starts speaking with All Might. And that's when Deku asks him to go to a more private location. And with that being said, All Might and Deku, along with the other heroes, go ahead and enter UA, where Deku, along with All Might, speaks to Nezu. And now, Nezu asks Deku if he would be willing, to join the school as a student, which Deku does accept. And now, for all of you guys who are currently wondering why exactly am I making Deku a student here and not a teacher, well, essentially because every single other student in, 1A and probably every single other quirk user are, quite a bit more powerful than in the anime. So, for example, Bakugo's explosions are about 4 to 5 times stronger. So his howitzer impact is more like somebody launched a minor nuclear missile somewhere. And yeah, that's essentially how I'm going to balance things out. And if you guys are wondering what exactly happened to All For One, yeah, he's currently locked up in Tartarus. And this is going to, he won't exactly be there for long, but you'll see what I mean. But anyways, going back to what happened in the previous video, as they were speaking and as Deku simply accepts if Nezu along with the heroes helps him get Shota back. And well, Nezu accepts. And just as they're about to shake hands, with, more like Nezu shaking one of Deku's fingers, Snipe bursts through the room and simply says that the city is under attack. And well, these aren't villains which are attacking it. These are, subjects. Failed ones at that. Essentially, like I said, there is a gigantic slug, which is rather large, which is, currently destroying the entire city. It's about as tall as a 7-story building, let's say. And now, the first one, which also attacked, was a subject and a female subject who lost their mind due to experimentation. And, she's essentially a queen bee. She has her own hive and, she can also infect people with quirks and making her into her mindless soldiers. The second one is essentially Killer Croc from DC, if any of you guys know who that is. And essentially what he has is super strength and super endurance, along with quite a bit of regeneration. And unlike the one in DC, he also completely lost his mind. And then the fourth one, essentially the guy who has a petrification quirk with, if he looks at you, that is, if he makes direct eye contact with you, you're going to start turning into stone. And I'm actually gonna give him a bit more powers than I did in the last part. So, he is he is just as tall as All Might. He has shock shock absorption, and that also qualifies into, well, that being, how exactly do you say this? Essentially, he has a complete nullification for him being able to get fried, not being with energy, so Deku's energy manipulation quirk is essentially useless. And let's see, he has super strength, super speed, regeneration, along with quite a bit of endurance, although nowhere near as much as Deku. And yeah, now, as Snipe tells them what exactly is going on, Deku and All Might immediately, well, jump into action. And also with the fact that there were hundreds of police and dozens of, well, heroes located near UA simply because of Deku was there, yeah, they were caught off guard, believe it or not, because all of their attention was so focused on Deku that they did not notice, well, several portals being opened up all around the city. Now, these portals also gave in a few of other subjects, although these ones are rather minor and aren't that powerful, like the four main ones. And yeah, essentially they started attacking the civilians. The Queen Bee, as I'm simply going to refer to her, yeah, she expanded her hive quite a bit, shall we say. Over 500 people have been infected, and well, essentially how the hive mind works is that every single sort of, well, throttle a quirk may have, or essentially if somebody has a fire quirk and they overheat if they use it too much, yeah, she doesn't care about that. Like an actual queen bee, she only, well, is, how do I say it? Well, she only defends herself and cares about herself, not her hive. So every single person she, well, infects is expendable in her eyes. And yeah, that's how essentially 500 infected quirk users are all around the city, gathering even more civilians and hell, even some heroes and villains. While Killer Croc, as I'm simply gonna call him, to, well, actually, right now, I believe that that's actually a name which is copyrighted. I'm just gonna call him Killer Alligator, yes. And well, essentially what he is currently doing is fighting against heroes and winning. The gigantic slug is essentially going around eating buildings along with everyone inside of them and also using its electricity, which I forgot to say. It has spikes on its back which essentially throw lightning out of it. And also because of that, it has a natural immunity towards lightning. So yeah, although if it's shot hard enough, or well, if the lightning is powerful enough, or any sort of little type of energy, it can hurt it. Not per se kill it, but it can definitely hurt it. And as it essentially going through the entire city, destroying block after block of, well, buildings along with people and police, yeah, it encounters someone, but someone being Mountain Lady. And yeah, with Mountain Lady simply stating that, oh god, what is that thing? It looks ugly. And yeah, right after that, Kamui Woods also joins, along with some of the other heroes. And well, at this point, Deku has already jumped into action. Several of the lower class subjects have, well, essentially been slapped. And yeah, they're dead, because Deku is rather powerful. And well, All Might goes ahead and deals, or at least goes ahead and deals with the Queen Bee. Although before he can get to her, he gets stopped by someone. Essentially, one of the lower class subjects. Although because the Queen Bee infected him, yeah, his quirk is sort of out of control. If you guys are wondering what his quirk is, it's essentially a type of, well, hardening quirk. And yeah, since the Queen Bee essentially broke every single restraint that guy had, yeah, his quirk is currently quite a bit stronger than Kirishima's. And that's when All Might simply goes ahead and fights against that thing, which he's actually able to beat it, well, not quite. He's able to, well, throw the thing around. The only problem is that he's doing absolutely zero damage, because the thing feels no pain. It's a mindless, well, soldier for the hive mind, and it just keeps attacking All Might, even though its internal organs are bleeding and God knows what else. And now I'm gonna go back to Deku. Now, as Deku is currently going along the street, essentially helping the police and other heroes take care of the subjects, he gets sucker punched by something. That something being, well, Killer Alligator. And, well, as Deku simply is, well, thrown back quite a bit because, yeah, its super strength is almost not exactly at All Might level, but it's a good 60% of when All Might was in his prime. And yeah, as the killer alligator simply goes ahead and tries to do it again, Deku gets out his left arm, which now has armor which is covering it. He essentially is able to stop the fist of killer alligator, and then yeah, as the killer alligator tries to break free, he notices something. His feet aren't at the ground anymore, and also Deku's arm is, well, 4 times as large as it used to be, as Deku activated his Goliath quirk, which, yeah, instead of Behemoth, I'm just gonna call it Goliath. It sort of makes more sense to me, at least. And yeah, as Deku is now 13 meters long compared to the killer alligator, who is about, I believe I said 20 feet, and that's about, like, I believe, yeah, almost 7 meters or so. That is, wait, no, that's 3 feet is 1 meter, so that's 3, 6, yeah, it's about 7 meters tall, while Deku is almost double that size at 13. And yeah, as Killer Croc tries to do something, Deku simply gets out his hand and uses full power on, well, Killer Alligator. And essentially has one police officer almost gets on the street where they're fighting, a gigantic shockwave is heard, and several of the buildings which were in front of Deku are now gone. And what happened to the subject, Killer Alligator? Well, let's just say that he has been absolutely destroyed. And when I say destroyed, I mean that he was destroyed on an atomic level. Yeah, Deku is rather strong. And yeah, his Deku now goes ahead to, well, the giant slug. And as we now jump back to All Might, which is still fighting the hardening, well, quirk person. Now, as All Might has essentially got enough of this guy, he rushes towards him. Although, as the hardening guy is about to take a swing at All Might quickly dodges, and yeah, he does about something which is, well, it might not be in All Might's fashion, but yeah, All Might knows that this guy's just a mindless puppet. He essentially takes his neck, and yeah, you can just hear a noticeable crunch. That crunch being that guy's neck. As he falls on, well, in front, that is, he falls flat on his face, him being dead. And yeah, at that point, All Might again starts rushing towards, well, Queen Bee. Or at least tries to, because when he gets there, he doesn't see her. And that's when he looks up in the air. He sees several, well, essentially flying quirk users. Those with like wings, some which can use telekinetic powers, so they're like going up in the air. And he also sees Queen Bee simply flying over there and, yeah, essentially taunting All Might. Now, All Might is, well, not like pissed, but like he wants to kill it so that all the people can return to normal. Or at least he thinks that's gonna happen. While in reality, her quirk is, well, permanent. Everyone who was infected by it is gonna stay like that. Although they're going to be sort of like the normal, like if they don't get any sort of orders, they're just gonna stand around. And well, as All Might jumps quite high in the air and tries to get to the Queen Bee, he notices something. That being several projectiles coming at him. And since he's in the air, he can't exactly dodge. And yeah, every single one of those projectiles, which are essentially insectoid missiles, get to him. And that's when he meets another subject, this one being a type of ant, although it's an ant which is 5 meters long and 2 meters tall. And also on its, I believe it's called the thorax, it has several, well, spikes which are essentially missiles, rather powerful ones at that. Now, All Might actually, well, his nose is bleeding a bit, although not a lot. And that's when he simply goes ahead and fights against the ant. Although, one problem as he figures it out rather quickly. There's not only one. There are dozens of them, scattered all around him, essentially encircling him. And before he can react to it, every single one of them release their payload of about 20 missiles. Although those missiles essentially do grow back. So, yeah. As that happens, a gigantic explosion can be heard. As All Might simply looks, and there are no missiles there anymore. As he sees a rather, well, let's say a blonde-haired boy whose hair is messy as always. That being Bakugo. And well, before the ants can even rethink to regrow back their, well, essentially their missiles, they all get covered in ice. As to the rogue, that is, fuck, now what am I saying? Shota isn't here. Oh crap. Okay, just don't mind that. Shota isn't there. He's... Actually, wait, yeah, it can work. So I'm gonna just simply say that Toya, Shota's bigger brother, is also there, as he completely covers every single one of the ants in ice. With All Might simply telling Toya and Bakugo, thank you for the support. And also, Toya is like, well, since I'll sort of, how do you say it again? Toya is technically Shota's bigger brother, although Shota is technically older than him because of what the scientists did. So in reality, Shota and Deku, that is, Deku should be 15 years old and Shota should be 16. But in reality, both of them are essentially 20 to 21 years old. And yes, I know that it's not exactly, well, I know that I said in the last part that they were like 18, 19, but I'm just gonna age them up a bit more. And, well, yeah, simply put, Toya's age is, well, 19, since he was... Okay, no, wait, his age is 22, I believe, since he was, I think, 6 years older than Shota. So, yeah. And well, as All Might now has the support of essentially former UA's #1 student, that being Toya, yeah, Toya uses his eyes to essentially make a platform for All Might to jump off from. All Might jumps up from it, and well, he gets to the Queen Bee. And well, just as he's about to punch her, something else happens. That something being that some sort of string gets attached or is essentially thrown around All Might's arm, and that's when All Might gets yanked yet again through several buildings. And essentially several gigantic spiders also show up. Because, yeah, the entirety of the entourage which the Queen Bee is being protected by is quite a bit of subjects which are essentially mutated insects. So ants, spiders, hell, even giant bees, which are all going around the city. And yeah, now All Might yet again gets rid of the spiders. There was about 7 of them. Now all of them are dead, as he used essentially United States of Smash. And after that, we go back to, well, Mountain Lady and Deku. Now, Mountain Lady is bleeding heavily, and also, well, her left eye has been damaged quite a lot by electricity. Because although she is able to fight against the slug, she isn't very effective, because the spikes on the slug's back aren't exactly, well, shall we say, good to punch. And along with that, I'm not sure if I said this, but the slug has an exoskeleton around it, which is almost as tough as Deku's, although, yeah, it's not as tough as his. And well, his Mountain Lady is essentially falling to the ground because of how much damage she took. Yeah, the slug actually bites down on her leg. And yeah, the slug isn't exactly able to completely tear it off, as before he can do that, Deku jumps in. And yeah, he's currently in his Goliath form, so yeah, 13 meters tall, and he also uses, well, every single bit of strength he has, along with his electricity quirk, that is energy manipulation quirk, to even further increase his punch's force. And as he does hit the slug essentially in the middle of its in the middle of its head, yeah, the slug isn't destroyed, although it's knocked back several blocks away. Yeah, Deku is quite strong. And that's when he simply turns around and sees the state in which Mountain Lady is at. And yeah, Mountain Lady's leg is, shall we say, the only thing which is holding it would be her back muscles, essentially, which are on the back of her, well, leg. Yeah, that's the only thing which is really connecting her leg to her body. And that's when Kamui Wood simply gets down there and sees Deku. Although at this point all of them have received essentially an order from All Might that Deku is on their side and is currently fighting against them. Then yeah, as Deku is about to jump off, Kamui Wood simply tells him thank you, because yeah, if he wasn't there, Mountain Lady would have been eaten by a gigantic slug. Yeah. With Deku simply saying in essentially a rather monstrous voice, since yeah, his voice was already quite deep and threatening when he was in his regular form. But now, when he's in his Goliath form, yeah, his voice is absolutely terrifying to somebody who hasn't heard it before. And he simply says, "No problem." And after that, jumps off to go to finish off the slug. And just as he's jumping and essentially goes ahead to punch the slug in mid-air, something stops him. That something being a strong punch to his gut. Here's the fourth one, that being essentially the guy who can petrify things with his eyes. Punches him in the gut with full force. And yeah, Deku gets sent back. Quite a lot, actually, about 1 block. And as Deku regains his composure, he, with his senses, that being with his wolf senses, essentially his albino quirk, he notices something else. Or he feels something coming towards him, as he essentially gets his fist ready and then, well, meets this guy's fist with his own, as another shockwave is formed, and the area where they were in is essentially turned into a 7-meter deep crater. And that's when they begin fighting, because even though Deku is in his Goliath form, yeah, the guy he's fighting has greater strength than Deku when he isn't in his Goliath form. And the fact that he also has complete and utter nullification of all types of energy attacks. Yeah, Deku is actually needs to try in this fight. And yeah. Now, as Deku is getting the upper hand, something else happens. That something being that the slug returns and essentially walks Deku off with its tail, or its part of its body, the back part of its body. Okay. Oof. And yeah, Deku gets not exactly launched, but he gets knocked back. Not a lot, but still enough for the purification guy to jump up and then uppercut Deku. And yeah, Deku is essentially now getting pissed off because he's been uppercutted 2 times, and that's 2 times too many. And yeah, as Deku then, well, essentially lets out a roar. And yeah, one of the, I like that they didn't say this, one of the, how do you say it, drawbacks of the Goliath quirk is essentially this. There's a incy chance that if you use it and you get enough damage done to yourself, that you go berserk. And in that state, it's somewhat similar to, well, the Queen Bee's minions. Every single sort of, well, how do I say this? Any sort of, well, that is no. Your body uses your quirk to its full potential, even if it does hurt you quite a bit. And with that being said, Deku uses, essentially, like I said, his absolute fullest potential. That being a hit, which as it locks on to the petrification guy's head, a shockwave. And when I say a shockwave, I mean a shockwave like a nuclear bomb was just set off in the middle of the city. Is, well, set off all around the city. Also any other town and village which is, well, near. Actually, I'm not exactly sure where on the US is located. I'm just gonna say Tokyo, or I'm just gonna say Tokyo. And yeah, as that happens, every single window in Tokyo is shattered, which is, yeah, it's gonna take a lot of time to fix that all. But yeah, as that happens, there is nothing left. Everything which was in front of Deku is gone. The slug is gone. The petrification subject is gone. Every single subject which was in front of Deku, along with about 7% of Tokyo, has been wiped off the map. And yeah, as the heroes which were actually there seem to like see the devastation which Deku has done, is all of them are like, holy shit, I'm glad he's not fighting against us. And yeah, and as we go at that point, as Deku is still in his berserk state, we go back to All Might, which was finally, after 6 failed attempts, being stuffed by giant bees, giant ants, giant spiders, and a gigantic centipede, which was essentially about, I would say, 76 stories long. And along with, let's just say, a bunch of other insects, and essentially, yeah, stopped, he finally gets a punch on the Queen Bee. And yeah, he punches her with every single bit he has, because at this point he was extremely annoyed and perhaps even a tiny bit angry. But yeah, the Queen Bee is also killed. And just like that, all 4 of the main subjects which were sent to attack the city are dead. Although so is quite a lot of police, a couple of dozen of heroes, like several thousand civilians, but at least the city is saved. Well, actually, Deku also destroyed like quite a bit of the city. Okay, let's just say that like everyone who's left in the what's left of the city is saved. And yeah. And also, if you guys are wondering what the UA students were doing at this point, they were also helping, like against the minor subjects, although the more powerful ones went ahead and fought alongside Bakugo, Toya, and All Might. And yeah, with Kirishima actually using his hardening quirk to go up against, well, several of the gigantic cards, which he squashes them. And yeah, at that point, another gigantic roar is heard, and that being Deku, who is still in his berserk state, although he quickly regains back control because he quite literally killed anything which was of threat to him. And as that happens, he goes back to All Might, still in his Goliath form, and as All Might sees this, he just goes, "What? What? How are you so large?" With Deku simply stating, "It's one of my quirks." As All Might says, "Can I beat you when you have that activated?" With Deku replying, maybe. Wanna test it out? With All Might simply going, "I believe that there is no need for that." And yeah, after that, Eri along with Nezu and Aizawa pops out of one of the, after the rubble of one of the buildings. Although not exactly after the rubble, but they just like came from the UA and the city and the building was in their way. And yeah, as Deku essentially buffs down to, well, he buffs down to a buff state, although it's not his, well, you guys get what I mean. And as he goes at his normal stage, that is, for fuck's sakes, but what the hell's wrong with me? Sorry about that, guys. He essentially goes back down to his normal state, with Eri jumping up and hugging him. And well, that's when All Might simply asks Deku, is she his daughter, little sister, or... And in all honesty, as Deku simply responds, "I consider her my daughter." Because, yeah, essentially Shota and Deku are going to be the adoptive parents of Eri. Such a happy family. And also pretty terrifying, but still. And now as all the students go back to UA, that is, no, all of the students actually begin helping the civilians which are trapped under the rubble, along with Deku. And yeah, this eventually resolves in Deku essentially getting a bus full of elementary school kids out of, well, a crashed building. As the bus went off one of the bridges and entered the building, with the bus driver and every single one of the children, yeah, they pee themselves. As, I mean, yeah, some sort of a monstrosity which you've never even seen before, just, yeah, saved you. Although, not all of them, how do you say it, pissed themselves, since there is also a couple of them who are simply going, "Wow, that's a cool quirk, amazing, wow, he saved us," and all that. And yeah, after the people actually see that Deku isn't, well, the demon isn't, well, in all actuality, a demon which, as they thought, eats children, he's actually a pretty good guy, which sometimes goes berserk. And yeah, as all that is now over, with the actual authorities now taking care of all the civilians along with the rubble, which is of the buildings. Sorry about you guys. As now all of them go back to UA, as they begin their, well, plan. Because Nezu, All Might, and Deku are the only ones who like exactly know that Deku and Shota are going to be joining UA. Along with Eri, although Eri is just gonna be like she's going to be taught about like by the teachers of UA, by like math and a lot of other crap. And yeah, although she won't be a student, at least not yet. And yeah, as all that is currently going on, Deku, along with Nezu, All Might, and most of the other heroes, simply, or at least the other top 10 heroes, which doesn't involve Endeavor, because yeah, if Deku saw Endeavor again, simply putting it as he stated that to both All Might and Nezu, yeah, if he saw Endeavor again, he would rip out his spine and then choke him with it. Yeah, not exactly something a hero would say, but something a pissed off father would say. And yeah, but that's when they simply start speaking about the arena where Shota is currently located at. And yeah, as Nezu actually simply states that they are going to send several of their stealthier heroes to go ahead and check out the place. Because, like I said, the arena is fucking gigantic. By that, I mean that it has several. Actually, no, it has over 100 different floors, and it has several thousand extremely dangerous subjects. And on top of all of that, it has the proper security forces, which are capable of holding in all of those subjects. So yeah, there's about 2,000 subjects, give or take a few or more. And then there's about, I would say, about, since the company is large, it has essentially sites all over the world. Yeah, let's say that it has about like 20 or so thousand essentially soldiers which are defending it. They also have several groups of people who can use their quirks, because yeah, they don't give a shit about the law. And yeah, also on top of that, they have a bunch of essentially security measures. That being blast doors, turrets, robots, different types of sentries, and all that. And yeah, as Nezo simply tells Deku that he will be sending, well, more the free stealth heroes to go ahead and see what its defenses are exactly at. Because yeah, you guys know that like what the defenses of it are, but the heroes don't. And yeah. And simply putting it, one of the heroes asks, why exactly is the demon with us? Like, he did help us, but he still killed a lot of people. And that's when Nezu actually shines in, simply telling that hero that Deku did more work in saving the entire city of Tokyo and probably quite a few of the surrounding area more than anyone in this entire room, including All Might. And yeah, that's when the hero simply shuts up. And yeah, has essentially after that little meeting, Deku goes back to his and his Eri's room. And yeah, because Eri isn't like exactly as terrified as in the anime, but she still has quite a lot of PTSD and actually doesn't want to sleep alone. So yeah, Deku is essentially there holding her hand as she sleeps. And yeah, Deku is a great father figure in this. Oh, what the hell was that? Hmm. Okay, and I'm not sure if you guys said that, but if you did, sorry about that. I think that someone just punched something or kicked something or something fell off. I'm not sure. But essentially, I believe that this is going to be where I ended off. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And also, one more thing. This is going to be where I sort of stop this series. Like, it's not the end of it. I will, like I said before, this is about like the halfway point of this series, and yeah, I'm going to actually be doing a What If Ruby next, so in place of this. Although when that What If also gets to about the halfway point, I'm going to continue on this. And that's essentially how I'm going to be doing my What Ifs. Also expect the What If Ruby one to come out today, along with another What If Bell was a Dragonoid. And with all that being said, I hope you guys and gals enjoy this, and I hope you have a nice day.